What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Numbers Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Daryl, and ask and you shall receive a late Christmas present. Brian Kelly let Mike House and his defensive coaches know that they would not be returning to the LSU football team in 2024. So, yes, Matt House is no longer the defensive coordinator at LSU, and this is what we was asking for. Now, um, you know, I think Brian Kelly did it the right way. I know myself and a lot of the fans was pretty pissed off. We thought that Matt House is going to come back for another season, and that's not the case. I think Brian Kelly handled it the right way, and he pretty much waited until after the bowl game. And I really think, right, I really think that maybe he wanted to see if Matt House could turn around the defense um, during the bowl game, but obviously LSU almost lost that bowl game. So I think Brian Kelly was like, "Hey, bro, you got to get out of here." He told Matt House, "Get you and your coaches and get to stepping." So Matt House is out. A few players like Harold Perkins and a few other guys on the team, tweeted some very cryptic stuff. Harold Perkins tweeted, "It's no fun when a rabbit got the gun." Who knows? He probably wasn't even talking about Matt House, but who knows? You never know, right? These kids are never going to come out and say it directly, but just if you go on X, right, on some of these players' social media, you see how some of these guys had some really cryptic uh tweets and stuff like that. So who's next, right? Who's next, right? The coaching carousel continues, right? Um, Brian Kelly probably is possibly looking at somebody off one of the teams that's in the playoffs, right? That's in the national championship. So Washington or um, Michigan, right? Maybe I don't know. I'm just saying maybe. Maybe he's looking at someone on that staff. But personally, who I think LSU should go after is Jim Leonard, right? So Jim Leonard is a former NFL defensive player, right? And he's also the former defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, the team that LSU played in the bowl game just previous Monday, right? So um, I just wrote down some stats on why I think LSU should hire Jim Leonard, and this is what I got. Right, you guys can go read about Jim Leonard yourself. This is just a synopsis of why I think Jim Leonard would be a great hire. So currently, Jim Leonard is a defensive analyst at Illinois, right? And while he was at um, Wisconsin, right, he was a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, and he was like an interim head coach at Wisconsin after the head coach got fired. But while he was a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin for 5 years, well, let me back up, right? So his scheme, right? Jim Leonard is a multiple type guy. So what multiple mean? He's going to implement multiple types of defenses, right? And that's good. That allows a lot of different players to get on the field, right? A lot of different type of guys to get on the field and play for LSU, right? So his schemes are, he runs a 3-4, he runs a 4-2-5, a 3-3-5, and a 2-4-5, right? So his 3-4, that's three down linemen, right? And four linebackers, right? 4-2, that's four down linemen, two linebackers, and five defensive backs. 3-3-5 is three down linemen, three linebackers, and five defensive backs. And a 2-4-5 is two down linemen, four linebackers, five defensive backs, right? That's multiple. That's what you want to do, right? That's what you want to do in the SEC. You want to be multiple. You want to keep teams guessing, right? And you want to be able to play mind games, right? You just want to give those opposing quarterbacks something to think about, right? It's got to be mental gymnastics, right? You don't want those guys just coming up to the line of scrimmage and saying, "Okay, look, they're in a 4-3, they're in a 4-4. This is what we're gonna do," right? Give them multiple looks. So I love that. I love that he has a hyper aggressive multiple scheme, right? So again, while he was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin for 5 years, his defense was ranked top five in total defense four times. He was top 10 in scoring defense four times. They ranked third in scoring defense, only allowing 17 points per game. They was first in total yards gained, allowing 285 yards per game. LSU this season gave up 409 yards per game, right? Um, Jim Leonard and his defense only allowed 285 yards per game. They was first in pass efficiency defense, right? So they made it really hard for quarterbacks to be efficient in the passing game, right? And they was third in the rush defense, and first in opponent third down conversions, allowing about a 31% conversion, right? So that's very great. That's good. I think I seen somewhere that over 40% of the um, over 40% of the quarterbacks that LSU faced on defense this season had career days versus LSU, right? Over 40%. Um, and LSU pretty much allowed a 56% completion rate um, on well, it was a 50% 56% chance that a team will score on LSU, right? So that's pretty much a flip of a coin that a team was going to score a lot on LSU, right? So again, like I've been saying, when was the last time you known LSU not to be a team that was looked upon as a good defensive team or DBU, right? Some more things about Jim Leonard. His defense also forced 112 turnovers over the 5 years that he was the defensive coordinator. And again, when I can't remember right off the top of my head the last time LSU got a turnover. Right? They got no turnovers in the bowl game. They got no interceptions. I think they got a fumble recovery or something like that. But the defense hasn't been causing turnovers. They haven't been getting turnovers. The defense just hasn't been very disruptive. And again, right, going back to him being multiple, right, and all of these different schemes, the 3-4, the 4-2-5, the 3-3-5, the 2-4-5, right. This allows Harold Perkins to rush, right. This allows Harold Perkins to rush, play on the line, outside, and rush, right? This allows Harold Perkins to rush, right? This allows one of the best linebackers, if not one of the best linebackers, off-ball linebackers in the country, um, to be a dominant force, right? Think Will Anderson, right? At Alabama, right? This is what Harold Perkins has the opportunity to be. He showed us his freshman year what he can do. And this year, he didn't regress because he was regressing as a player. He regressed because they didn't have him in the right position to make plays, right? He still finished with 5 sacks, but that's not enough because we expected double-digit sacks from Harold Perkins this season. So hopefully, you know, when LSU hires Jim Leonard, he can get Harold Perkins back to the Harold Perkins that we seen when he first touched the field at LSU. Um, now, again, I don't know what Brian Kelly is thinking about, right? I have no insights um to LSU program. I'm just a fan with a podcast and a sports show, just like a lot of other people, and I'm just coming here giving my educated guess and who I would like to see be the next defensive coordinator at LSU, right? I think it should be Jim Leonard. He's an analyst right now at, like I said, at Illinois. So that he's an analyst. He's not. He's just helping. So that's a great opportunity for LSU to for Brian Kelly to hop on that private plane and drive to Illinois. We fly to Illinois and say, hey, come on in here. Let's turn this defense around because we got Texas and we got Oklahoma coming to the SEC. You got Ole Miss, who's loaded up in the transfer portal, who's looking to whoop everybody ass next year. Alabama's Alabama. Georgia's going to be Georgia. We need a defensive coordinator like Jim Leonard to come in and get this defense back to where it used to be, right? We got Dominique McKinley coming in. Um, we got um, we got a really good class coming in with some really stud linebackers and defensive linemen, right, and cornerbacks. Let's get in a good defensive coordinator and some good defensive assistant coaches to get these guys playing again, to get LSU back with that old swag, that confidence, right? Let's get a guy in like Jim Leonard. If they don't hire Jim Leonard, right, this is some other guys that I put on my honorable mention. I put Gary Patterson, the former head coach at TCU, defensive guy, and Jimmy Lake, right? He was a former defensive coordinator and head coach at Washington a few years ago. He's now on a Rams staff in the NFL. But go read up on Gary Patterson and Jimmy Lake, right? Those guys are studs. Also, they're honorable mention. But if I had to pick, my number one choice would be Jim Leonard for the reasons I gave you. But I would not mind seeing a guy like Gary Patterson and Jimmy Lake come in and bring dominance back to this LSU defense. So yeah, Matt House is fired. Best of luck to him. It always sucks when someone loses their job because they have to move their family and all of that stuff, right? Best of luck to him. He's been fired. But LSU has to move on and do what's right for the program. And Matt House just wasn't the right guy for the program anymore. So let me know in the comment section who you think LSU should hire. Let me know who you think who you would like to see be the next defensive coordinator. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, right? Hit that bell notification so you can stay up to date on all of the latest videos that I drop here at Between the Numbers Sports Show and Podcast. And until next time, I'm out, and go Tigers.